This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
Hello, I'm Max Rushton. The World Cup is back and Football Weekly is going daily. If you want award-winning soccer coverage from a podcast that's been overanalyzing the game for more than 20 years and still hasn't run out of opinions or just repeats the same ones over and over again, this is where you'll find it. We'll be producing 33 daily episodes across the tournament, breaking down all the action, the results, and of course, the drama. Can the US make it out of the group stage and into the spotlight on the biggest stage? World Cup Daily. Listen wherever you get your podcasts or watch full episodes on YouTube.
The legal team for Luigi Mangione is standing up for themselves and not for their client. Apparently, they were in negotiations for a plea deal for this guy. I'm sorry, this is an open and shut case. It's caught on tape, the murder. He put the names of the people he wanted to kill and his issues literally on the shell casings. This is the Judge Weinberg. This is the legal definition of premeditated murder. You cannot claim insanity when you have that kind of pre-planning and that kind of execution, no pun intended. And his legal team is now not going to try to save his life because you know why? They want the exposure, as Fernando told us off the air. They want the payday, as George says.
Why do you say that?
I say that because...
No, why do you say the legal team is doing this?
I think that they're trying to... They would like... The legal team wants to get exposure and more money and names for themselves and would rather use him as a sacrificial lamb.
That's just his opinion, Judge.
No, I'm not just trying to understand.
I understand.
That's my reason. That's my reason.
I understand. We just woke up Professor Dershowitz.
Oh, we did? Okay.
And he's on the air.
Okay. Professor Dershowitz, feel free to weigh in on this. We brought you in to talk about these Supreme Court decisions yesterday, but I'm not loving this defense team of Luigi Mangione. I don't think they're acting in his best interest.
I don't know how you would act in his best interest at this point. There's nothing you can do except try to get a reduced sentence. And he has nobody to turn in. You know, when I taught criminal law for years, I would start by saying to my students, if you ever want to commit a crime, the first rule is commit it with somebody more important than you so you can turn them in and they can't turn you in. Yeah. And, you know, he didn't do it. And they got him on tape. They have him with a gun pointed to the guy. They have the names. The poor defense lawyers, they have nothing to do at this point. My feeling is that they wanted to put in this defense of emotional whatever, and the client said no. So I'm not agreeing with your guess that these lawyers are acting in their own self-interest rather than the interest of the client.
It's Richard Weinberg. I absolutely agree. That's why I asked the question. I think that he wants political. I think Mangione wants political theater. He's trying to make a public forum out of this for his views. That's my take. And the lawyers were trying to cut him a deal.
I understand that. He has nothing else in his favor. He has a lot of people supporting him. And I think his feeling is if he goes to trial and he gets a lot of support at trial, who knows? Maybe something good will go down the line. Maybe his time in prison will be easier. But I do think that it was he who made the decision, I'm not sure, that a trial benefits him rather than a plea that makes the case go away and he disappears.
If he has a mental incompetency plea, then what he's doing is undermining his political agenda, his ideological attack. That's why he wants the political theater.
I agree with that. I think even having submitted a letter saying he was going to plead emotional instability probably undercut his political, and he may have seen the reaction to it. But in any event, I think, has seen this case from the beginning as political theater. Tragically, it took the human life of a father of children, and it sent a terrible, terrible message in society. And, you know, it's a message that we're hearing in so many different contexts. Murderers are being praised, whether they're murderers from Hamas or Hezbollah or Iran, or whether they're individual murderers. Today, there are crazy people out there who support murder and who don't support innocent people and decency. I think we saw it in the election in New York. I think we're seeing it in the Mangione case. I think we're seeing it in a lot of different contexts, and it's changing our society for the worse. I think these are all symptoms of a terrible change in our society toward moving toward accepting violence as acceptable. We have members of people being nominated now to Congress who believe that Hamas was correct in killing 1,200 people and capturing 250 people, and they're being elected to Congress. We have people being elected to Congress, to the Senate, who wear a death tattoo for years and years. I mean, something is sick about our society, and we have to move that in the right direction, or we're going to be in real trouble. It goes way beyond Mangione, and it goes way beyond Tuesday's election.
Alan, there's a case coming up for decision in the next few days at the Supreme Court. It's the transgender case. It's the West Virginia case about the ban of having men being in women's sports. What are your thoughts about that case, and how's that going to turn out?
I think the Trump administration will probably win that case and probably lose the case involving birthright citizenship. So I think we're going to see a split in the last few days of the court. This has been a very, very significant court term with a lot of important decisions, most of them favoring Trump, but not all of them favoring Trump. And we're going to see a movement toward packing the court if the Democrats get control of the House.
And what about
they will try to pack the court, and they'll fail, but they'll try.
I agree with that, too. What about this case involving presidential power to remove people from agencies? What do you think that's going to do?
I think the president will prevail on that one as well. And speaking of removing people, there's also this interesting, I hope, test case that's going to go on. There's this federal judge who was having sex in her chambers so loud that her law clerks heard it. And there's a movement to impeach her. And I think it presents a very interesting test case because a lot of people think that in order to impeach a federal judge, you have to prove that they committed crimes like treason, bribery, or other crimes and misdemeanors, as I argued in the Senate in favor of President Trump. I don't think that's the criteria for judges. Judges are appointed for life, and then it says during good behavior. So I think if you can demonstrate lack of good behavior and having sex in your chambers and screaming loud and then lying about it, sounds to me like it satisfies the criteria of not good behavior. So I think they should try to impeach this judge and test the criteria for what it takes to impeach a judge, because I think it's different criteria than what it takes to impeach the president. After all, the president gets elected every 4 years. You know, like the president, throw the bum out. But a judge is there for life, and if they engage in bad behavior, they shouldn't continue to be able to be on the bench.
And I believe it was with another officer of the court. I mean, this wasn't just like some
police officer.
Police officer. So that's also a conflict of a bunch of employment stuff, on and on down the line. Let's talk about these decisions that did come down yesterday, including the one that says that while you're applying for asylum, the court said that we can continue, or we can at least keep these folks on the other side of the U.S. border. That seems like common sense to me. We have so many people running around with pending asylum cases, and we lose track of it. Were you surprised by the decision, or was there anything in there that didn't make sense to you? And then one more thing, the continuing hissy fit within the court between some of the judges we had. Sotomayor reading off her decision, her dissenting decision in this Hawaii gun case, and Justice Alito visually making all kinds of facial expressions showing his exasperation.
Well, you know, I know Justice Alito. I like him very much. He's an expressive guy. I grew up with a lot of Italian Americans. They don't hold their feelings back. And when you put them on the bench and you get a judge who is not supposed to have read her full opinion, didn't give any notice of it, I could see why he got a little annoyed. On the issue of keeping people seeking asylum outside, I have a split view on that. I think legally it's correct. Constitutionally it's correct. The president has the power to do that. I wish he didn't, because, you know, I'm still somebody who thinks very hard about the 900 Jews on the boat St. Louis who were trying to come into the United States to escape the gas chambers. And President Roosevelt kept them out, and they all went back to Germany, and half of them died in death camps. So, you know, when you have a really, really strong case for asylum that you're going to die if you're not allowed in the country, my feeling on the merits is that I wish they would let them in the country. Constitutionally, I think the court was absolutely right.
Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network, based in the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
This is going to be an extremely busy month. I have to watch 104 soccer games, follow the pregame, the postgame, yell useless opinions at the TV. It's a lot. So I knew that when it comes to screening for colon cancer, the choice was clear. The Cologuard Plus test. It can be used at home and can only take 15 minutes, so I can do it during halftime and not miss any action. If you are 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a prescription at Cologuard.com.
Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, oh yeah, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
Choice Hotels get you more of what you value. Here's a little tune to help you remember. Same drive, different day. Don't you wish you were getting away? Pack your bags and come on through. Texas, Ohio, Alaska, we're up there too. Comfort Inn, it's calling your name. Save on the stay. Oh, and free waffles are yours to claim. Well, I hope you like my little song. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Are they though? Really? I mean, what percentage would you say of asylum seekers in the United States are facing a situation? I mean, granted, that was a very unique situation during the Holocaust, but what percentage of current asylum seekers are really facing that kind of human peril?
Well, if I were a president, what I would do is I would have a two-step process. If you can demonstrate that your life really is at stake if you're not allowed in the country, I'll let you in. But if you're just seeking asylum for reasons of helping your family, and delay and change wouldn't make any real difference. So I would have a two-step process and allow an asylum seeker to make the case that his life is really at stake. But that's up to the legislature. They can do that. And it's up to the president. It's not up to the courts to, as Justice Ginsburg said when she was on the court, the Supreme Court does not have a roving commission to do good or to do justice. They must comply with Article 3 of the Constitution, basically that says you need to have a case in controversy, and the court has narrow, limited jurisdiction. They're not there to just do good things. Sotomayor, I think, has a different conception of the court, and I understand her conception, but it's not what the Constitution set out, I think.
Professor, this is Fernando Mateo. How are you today?
Great, and you?
I'm doing great. Always a pleasure to speak to you. You enlighten, and you bring such incredible energy to the show every time you're on. My question to you is, what's going to happen with countries like the Dominican Republic when all the Haitians get deported there and then they try to cross the border over to the Dominican Republic? These are countries these are islands that are struggling. Although the economy in the Dominican Republic is very good, but they're fighting the invasion of the Haitians coming in. And believe me, I think every Dominican has some Haitian in them, okay? Because we're an island. Things happen, right?
Yeah, and great things. Great people have come from both those islands.
Yes.
I mean, think about baseball today without the Dominican Republic. It would be a much
ghost town.
American sport. In fact, you may have heard recently a group of black leaders complained that there were too many Central Americans in baseball and not enough genuine blacks. I mean, this is what happens when you have DEI, diversity. I always think, what would have happened to the New York Knicks if they were subject to DEI? They'd have to have 2 Irish players, 3 Italian players, a Jewish player. They'd have finished last. You do it on meritocracy. You do it on the merits. And on the merits, the Knicks had a, dominantly black team,
by the way,
as all basketball players do, and they did great.
Yes. Some breaking news from ABC, I guess, television news. Voting machine company drops $1 billion defamation suit against Mike Lindell.
And he good.
But they bankrupt the guy.
Yeah.
They bankrupt him.
And also, you need malice to bring a suit. And Mike, whatever you might say about him, is a believer. He honestly believed it. And I think I don't think the court could satisfy the criteria of malice. So I'm glad they dropped it. Let Mike continue to sell his pillows. And, you can agree with him. You can disagree with him. I've represented him briefly in some matters in Arizona. And he's a true believer. And, that's what makes this country go around. Speaking of which, one point I want to make, it's going to be July 4th soon. And I have a July 4th book coming out. It's called Founding Fathers and One Jewish Mother. And it's a coffee table book with beautiful pictures of the original documents of the American Revolution and Israel. And it shows the incredible comparison between the founders of America, Washington, Madison, Hamilton, and the founders of Israel, Herzl, Ben-Gurion, Golda Meir. So I think if you need a gift for somebody for July 4th, you can get it on Amazon.
And the title is Founding Father. What is it again? The title, so everyone knows.
Founding Fathers and One Jewish Mother. Yeah. Golda Meir being the Jewish mother
who came to Israel from the Ukraine by way of Milwaukee. A Milwaukee resident.
By way of Milwaukee, and she served me tea in her house in 1970 after I smuggled her a carton of Lucky Strike cigarettes. I didn't know that they killed, but Arthur Goldberg, for whom I worked, was a close friend of hers when she lived in Milwaukee and he lived in Chicago. And when I went to Israel to do an interview, he asked me if I would smuggle a carton of Lucky Strikes. I put it in my socks. I evaded Israeli security, and I probably contributed to her early.
Professor, so you're a smuggler. You're a smuggler.
But in his defense, this is a great. I get to defend the great defender, Alan Dershowitz. In your defense, Professor, Golda Meir was an incredibly persuasive person. Just ask Henry Kissinger, Richard Nixon, and John F. Kennedy and the great beyond. She twisted all of their arms very, very effectively. Professor Dershowitz.
No question about that. And she was a great American, a great Jew, a great Israeli, and a great human being.
Yes, and at one time, the sweetheart of the Yishuv, but that's another story. Alan Dershowitz, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?